well done. Did it all go okay?
It's all gone very well, yes.
Good.
Oh, good. Was it just a day thing then? She didn't have to be in.
Well, the surgeon said she'll be in till tomorrow, but the nurse said that we're picking her up tonight, so we'll see later. I don't think she said she's 87. I can't see that she's going to be ready to come home tonight, but we shall see.
It's quite big surgery, hip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a second.
You know what I have to say though, my friend who's only 44 had a hip replacement in, I can't remember, January, February of last year because she had really bad arthritis. The entire rest of the people that were in on like day cases pretty much skipped out, but she had such a horrendous reaction to the anesthetic that they had to keep her in. But all of the people in their kind of 60s, 70s, 80s left before her.
Yeah, they do like to get you out the same day if they can.
Yeah.
But my mum's not got very good core muscles and things, so she's not well prepped to,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I don't know if anyone saw, but Kate Page put on, there's a Teams chat at work. She said, let's pull it up. Kate says, on my way.
Right.
Noelle says, running a bit late.
Okay.
They're all in the office today, so it's going to be a
Claire, did you hear that?
Yeah.
heavy day.
Your favourite?
I've seen you off, Stuart.
Kate was angling to get them all in a room, so.
Okay.
Connector. Let's get everyone together. I love it. Good for her. Was anyone there last week for feedback session? Yes, Rachel, I saw you.
Yeah.
I heard you. And Noelle was there.
I wasn't, I'm afraid. It
That's
was one of
okay.
my other travelling occasions. I was at the Welsh Parliament.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wanted to be there, but I'm going to catch up with the video. I just had an external appointment outside work I had to go to, so.
Fab. No worries. You might have needed a Wednesday break from me anyway. But, it is different. It is slightly different material. Some of the tools are new, but you'll meet them further on in altitude. But if you don't watch the recording, then I can catch you guys up. I can actually, you've got the recording there, or I can send the deck as well. I think Melinda has the deck. But I'll try and make sure we incorporate it. Did come up with some natty acronyms for feedback. I've been trying to utilize it.
Response, just decline.
Is that Matt?
Who's this?
it sounds like Matt.
I reckon this is the group.
Yeah, I was going to say, are they all in there together?
Drum roll. Who are we going to see on the screen?
Disguised under Beth's
That's who you're talking about.
I don't think we saw Beth last time either, did we? It'd be nice to see Beth. Beth's on all the emails, isn't she?
I have.
Cool.
If we have
Here they come. Yay! Hi.
how many?
Four of us.
Yeah, so don't know if you can see because it's a bit blurred.
I can't, it's a bit blurry.
It's Beth, Kate, Noelle, and Matt.
Okay.
We were trying to get you on the screen, but we can't. So
Can you see us? That's the key.
Watch
We
this
can.
work now. Beth, it's going to work, Beth.
it is going to.
There you go. If you leave, we'll jump in.
Or
Yeah.
you could all have the visuals and turn all of the volumes off except one. Could that work, or does that not usually work?
Is the
Fine.
recording?
I think we're sorted, so we should be all right in a minute.
Great. Everyone's all right.
Just whilst they're hopping in, Laura, if they're all going to go into one room, would you like me to put Stuart, Rachel, and Katie in another breakout, or shall I go with
There's Noelle as well now.
Noelle's in the same room?
Oh, of course. I just heard myself.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can't see you though.
Can't see us. Do you want to turn the video on?
Yeah, sure. Have a 3 then, because otherwise they'll feel like they're missing out on the group vibes. Hello.
There we go.
I love how every time we're in a meeting room, we cannot figure out the tech. Nobody's
like,
I don't want to play ball.
Please excuse me for 1 second. My cat is literally climbing the curtain.
We've got Sophie there.
We want to see the cat climbing the curtain. Right, are we ready, everybody? Do we want to jump in? Are we ready to go?
We're not in the right gear, are we?
We're not in the right gear. Very good, Rachel. I like the use. What gear would you call this, guys? What gear would you call this?
Mayhem.
What was that, Katie?
Mayhem. But there's
Mayhem.
Three.
Faff gear. It's faff gear.
Multitasking, maybe.
Bit of 4, bit of 3. Yeah, I think we're kind of not quite in any of the gears, are we? Bit of gear crunching. That's the link. No judgment. This is a good case study. Right, I think sound is a bit of feedback there.
I might
Okay.
be able to mute them actually.
They sound rubbish from our end.
No, I could hear you quite clearly then. That was all right. Yeah, let's see how we go. Let's see how we go. Shall we jump into some content and then get you chatting and then we'll hear back? Shall we do that just to keep the momentum? Okay, amazing. So, hello everybody. So we are indeed doing the gears this time. So this is our deep dive week on the gears. Rachel very cleverly just made that link and said, what gear are we in here? So let's see what we have in store for us today. So we're going to click straight over into today's mindset. Okay, so mindset for today is one of my favorite quotes. I actually heard this quote, I think I must have been about 16. And it was one of those ones I wrote down in my journal and I never forgot. I thought, what a great thing to say, Jim Elliot. Wherever you are, be all there. Wherever you are, be all there. And then I was reading my breakthrough book at lunchtime. Did anyone go ahead and order this book? It's the Bible study guide, Rachel's nodding, that goes alongside the altitude course. And it just gives you some key passages. And good old Jeffrey had come across, oh, yay, Rachel's got it right there. Had come across a quotation that I just think has some similarity with the Jim Elliot quote. Look at this. I will give them an undivided heart. I'll give them an undivided heart from Ezekiel. Isn't that cool? And that sense of whoever we're with, whether we're just with one person, whether we're at home with a family, whether we're with our parent who's recovering from an operation, or whether we're in a room with some work colleagues or our team or a bigger group, actually, if we're in the right gear for the occasion, then we will have an undivided heart. And if we've got an undivided heart in the company we're in, that person, those people will actually feel really blessed. Because one of the best things we can give each other is our attention, wouldn't you say? Our attention is possibly our greatest gift to another person. I was reminded of that recently. So I think that's a great mindset for this week to say is let's think about the gears. Let's think about what gear is needed for which occasion. And let's think about how we can move in and out of the gears as well so that we can always bring our best. And our best is an undivided heart. And that's not just for the people we're meeting or the person we're meeting. That's for ourselves as well. Because when I've got a divided heart, when I don't know whether I'm coming or going, and I had a bit of a day like that recently, and I felt a bit stressed and I felt a bit anxious and I felt like I couldn't quite catch up with what I wanted to do, it wasn't very nice for me inside. You know, remember that support challenge matrix? We apply that to ourselves first. And that felt to me like domination. I thought, I'm dominating myself today because all I'm saying to myself today is giddy up, move on, keep going. Oh, what about this? Oh. And actually, that's an undivided heart with myself. So as we come into this session today, our goal is to put in a little bit of attention today and some reps and perhaps some tweaks to our calendar, to our schedule, to our mindset so that our heart can be undivided. How's that sound? Good, excited, great. So quick recap on last time. Last week we were looking at are you more present or productive? So people generally tend to either veer towards wanting to be present with people, and that can, in a negative way can be distracting. In a positive way, that can be brilliantly present. And can also, other people can lean towards being productive. In a negative way, that can mean sometimes that they aren't present with people because they're always looking at their phone, checking email, or saying, yeah, I'll be there in a minute, like, guilty as charged. But actually, the gift of that space is that we get things done and we move things forward. But liberating leaders can build cultures where their people can be both present and productive. And the gears help us to calibrate those two spheres. So here are the gears. So by now you'll have had a good look at what the gears are from fifth all the way down to first, and then that sneaky one in reverse, which we'll consider next week. So of those 5 gears, we have the 2 work gears, fifth and fourth. We have the 2 people gears, third and second, and then we have the recharge mode, but there might just be some overlap between all of them. So what we were thinking about for our preparation was, which of these gears are your priority? Which of these gears are you in the most? And you were asked to sort of make a list in descending order of, these are the gears I'm in the most, and these are the gears that I probably am less intentional about and that I neglect the most. And Claire and I were just comparing when we did the course together a few years ago. We were saying, what did you put then and what did you put now? So I'm going to ask Claire to share just her comparison in a minute, just take herself off mute. But while she's just getting ready to do that, I'll tell you what happened with me a couple of years ago. My gears were fifth and first, were in first place, building the business, really intentional about it and really intentional about recharging as well. Having young children, it just was really important. And so my gears were a bit more balanced with fourth, third and second, although I did set as my goal to spend more time in second gear. And I would like to report that that has happened. I've really prioritized my closest friends, quality time with my small group of close friends. So that one was a win. But what I found when I did it again this week was that fourth and third were coming in top of the list. Fourth and third, lots of tasks and lots of not necessarily deep socializing, networking, meeting people. And that's partly because I was ill a couple of weeks ago and I had to kind of catch up on all of those things, but it wasn't making me very happy. That was why I had that day where I was struggling to be intentional. I was struggling to be undivided, was because just too much fourth and third. So I did take action. I'll share my action with you a bit later, but that was just me weighing it. So remember, just have a little look. Hopefully you got your list there, or if you haven't got your list to hand, just have a think, which of these gears and in this order am I prioritizing? Am I being intentional about, and which perhaps are falling by the wayside? Where are the gaps in my schedule? Remember, Tracy said we should aim to spend some time in every gear every day. So gears can be unhealthy for 2 different reasons. We can struggle to get into the gear, we can underuse the gear, or we can overuse the gear. We can struggle to get out of the gear. So one example of underuse or struggling to get into the gear might well be that focus mode. Some people just find it hard to get in the zone because they're so busy allowing distractions to come in, notifications to fly in, WhatsApp messages. They find it really hard just to get really down, put the shutters on, the blinkers on, and get down to that thing that needs their full attention. That can be one example of struggling to get in. We might also struggle to get out. So look at fourth gear, for example. If we wake up and are straight into email, starting the car in fourth gear never goes well. So actually, that is something to just be aware of as well. Do we have boundaries on certain gears that can overrun if we're not careful? And that can be different for different people. Which are those ones that you underuse and which are those that you overuse? So the recommendation for this week was to use physical markers as triggers to change gear. So here's 2 examples. James did the gears years ago, my husband, and we live about 15 minutes from his place of work. And when I had young children, James would use the commute home as a way to drop work, to sort of let go of whatever was on his mind from work and to start to think about home. And the garage halfway home was his trigger. So he was like, all the way towards the garage from work, he was just sorting things out, thinking what he needs to do tomorrow. How did that conversation go? And then once he saw the garage, it was like a switch, click. Right, now I need to be thinking about home. What's Laura been doing with the boys today? What might they need from me? How can I make sure I show up? Not full of work and wanting to process work, but actually able to bring something as well. So you can come up with your own triggers for gear shifting, but it can be really helpful. Another trigger would be having different spaces for different things. So I remember coaching someone years ago. I was coaching a youth charity, and this guy had a one-bedroom flat and he worked from home, and he had hardly any space to do anything. But what he developed was genius. He had a sofa of 3 seats, and he decided that his far left seat was going to be the place where he did his work on his laptop or did his calls because it was comfy. But when he wasn't working, the far right seat was where he sat to chill out, game, and watch TV. And that just worked for him, just having those space shifts. So even if you've got hardly any space, you can think about how you use your space really well. For me, that was having a desk. I wanted to have a desk where I could look outside at the garden and the sky and the birds, because that's really important to me. But that meant using one of the main rooms in the house. But my father-in-law had bought us a pool slash table tennis slash dinner table. So during the week, it was my desk. And then at the weekend, on a Friday afternoon, everything would be packed away. And there wasn't loads to pack away. I've got a little bit of food and things like that, but not a lot. Everything packed away. The lid came off the table, and I turned it into the pool or the table tennis table, whatever the boys wanted. So that's another example, really, of how you can use your spaces for the different gears. So, you might want to do a little bit of tweaking in your home or in your workplace to make sure that there's triggers so that you can use a space for multi-purposes, or that you can use your space as a fully functioning gear space. Here's another example. James, at school, where he's a teacher and he's also a leadership coach as well, he's got a classroom, and there's one little wall that's just a blank wall. And what he did was he decided when he's doing his marking, he is so prone to distractions that he was going to face that wall. And he managed to find some earphones that his father had given him that were meant for a pneumatic drill. And he has those headphones on that table, and he puts them on, he faces the wall, and he sets a timer and he marks. That's his marking fifth gear in the zone desk. I mean, his colleagues have a great time creeping up behind him and jabbing him in the ribs. He's not expecting it because he can't hear a bean. But it's an example of how you can use different spaces for different gears. I'm really excited about all of this. I hope you can tell, but the gears has been a game changer. Claire, what about for you?
So I think previously when we did it, I was pretty much in task mode, and not really being fully present, shall we say. And I think I'm probably still not great at home, just because it constantly feels like you're just, you get up and you're just constantly on that hamster wheel, aren't you? But I think there's definitely more range throughout my week. So if I look at last week, I definitely had focus time, I definitely had task time, but I also had social, deep connection, and recharge. And I think actually having that recharge, and I class my kind of working out as recharge, doing that 2 or 3 times a week makes a massive difference to how I feel.
Thank you for reminding us as well that it's called recharge. It's not called recovery, but the headline title is recharge. If we recharge, we don't need to fall off a cliff at the end of the week and recover. And recharge, as Claire just said, it should be some block times where you recharge, like go to the gym, but that's not always possible. Sometimes our recharge might literally be walking the long route round somewhere, walking to the shop at lunchtime, but the pretty route, or just finding a way to just maybe go and read a few pages of something for a few minutes. But even a 5 to 10 minute recharge throughout the day on a regular basis can really, really make a difference. So that's one we'll look at in a little bit more depth next week as well. Okay, so breakout one, could you take a photograph or a screenshot? Because there's a couple of bits to this. What is your gear order of priority? So what have you been doing? Rightly or wrongly, there's no judgment, but what do you think if someone was to look at your diary and say, this is what this person prioritizes, which gears would come out top and which would be neglected or at the bottom? And number two, what are you doing in the gears that is undermining your influence? So, for example, are there any sticky gear shifting going on? Are you perhaps spending time with family but constantly looking at your emails and not switching them off? So, what's happening that's undermining your influence in the gears? Is there any places where you're not all there, to use Jim Elliott's words? Any questions on any of the slides before we come out of the share? No. Okay, great. I'm really looking forward to you guys sharing with each other where you're at with the gears, and please come back with any questions as well. Look forward to hearing from you and hearing your examples too.
Laura, I've knocked the time down to 7 minutes as we're a bit later starting. Is that all right, or do you want to?
Thank you. That's good thinking. I think perhaps because they're bigger groups, we might need to go back up. Is that all right? Thanks for checking.
8 minutes?
Yeah.
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 Perfect.
A couple of minutes each. Thanks, guys. See you on the other side. Robert Morrison, you can go. Or do anything interesting.
You're breaking our prediction. We said it's always Noel when we come back into the room who's talking.
It's whoever gets there first, you see. As a guardian, she's efficient. She is there.
Well, I've beaten her this time.
Other people are in control now.
Yeah, I mean, I was sharing that I think it was in November, that I went through my calendar and I blocked out time for each of the gears in my calendar. Doesn't mean people always honour that when they put stuff in, but at least it's there for me. And then I've got notifications on my watch that will go off with a little warning, like 5 minutes and you're going into a break, and then or 5 minutes and you're going into gear 3 or whatever. And that's beneficial for me for a number of reasons, partly because particularly when I go into the office, it's the only time in the week when I physically get to interact with my colleagues. So for me, it's important that I have some gear 3 and gear 2 time then. Always conscious that that might not be the same for my colleagues, so I have to be careful not to just walk up to them and say, "Hey, let's be social." And they're like, "No, I'm working." But yeah, so but it's been really helpful for me. I'm not very good at taking breaks, and there've been a couple of occasions in the past couple of years when I've even forgotten that I've got annual leave, and then look halfway through a work day, I look at it, and think, "Oh, I'm supposed to be off." So yeah, I'm not very good at gear 1. So putting that into my calendar and having my watch beep at me to say, "Get up, go and do something else for a bit," is helpful.
Really good, Stuart. I love that. And I think it's really nice you have those 5-minute sort of intros to the next gear. I really liked Jeremy's example where he said he used to have a habit of just typing. So, "Oh yeah, come in. Yeah, yeah." And he said all that happens then is people feel like they're interrupting your work time. So him saying deliberately, "I'm going to make sure that I've got at least 5 minutes before the next meeting to just get my head around that meeting, to think about that person and their needs," is really great habit. So like that, Stuart. That's great. Beth, let's come to you next because we didn't see you last time, and I'd love to hear from you.
Hey, sorry, I was at a meeting last week. So I think my top one is task, because we're just a really busy team. Like most people at Bible Society, we're just trying to complete the tasks that have to be done, and we've got deadlines. So we spend quite a lot of time in that mode. So I'd like to have more focused time, and I have timetabled that into my diary on Friday afternoon, which is generally a quieter time. I put a couple of hours where I try and get into focus mode. It didn't work last week because I was saying last Friday I was in responsive mode all day. I was like fighting fires on all sides. So it doesn't always work, but I put it in, and when I can, then I try and use that time.
And does Friday afternoon work for you, Beth? Is that a good...
It works for me because I think some people, there's generally less meetings. Some of my team don't work on Fridays. So there's less messaging kind of going on and less immediate responses.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the best chance I've got to have that.
Well, hats off to anyone that can have fifth gear time on a Friday afternoon. I'm usually feeling the Friday feeling by then, whether I want to or not. It usually just creeps over me. But also, I think just a releasing thing, if this is helpful, Beth, as a nurturer, you will always want to prioritize that other person's needs. But it's actually okay. It's okay sometimes, even if it's 45 minutes for you just to say, I'm actually off duty or I'm out of comms, maybe you could say, if any questions, please refer to X. Do you have a number two that they could come to? That might be actually a really great leadership opportunity for that other person, or a development opportunity for them. But you prioritizing your time as the lead to get above the detail and to above the responses will actually help them down the line as well. Is that relevant or not necessarily? Have a think.
That's helpful. Yeah.
Even sometimes 25 minutes in fifth gear, I find if I've got something to prepare, and I know it's going to take me longer, it's going to take me a couple of hours, but I just think I'm going to break the back of the starting of it, 25 minutes to just start to put things together and pull things out. I'm feeling much better about it, and I set a timer and off I go. So take what you can. If you're in the right gear, it's the quality, not the quantity of the gear, I've found. Rachel, anything from you on this?
Can't remember now.
Gear
No,
order.
I was saying that because fifth gear is my natural. But in my new role, I'm finding I'm having to do a lot more of gear three, and I actually think it's really good for me because I find that so hard to do gear three.
Yes. Okay. Really good. So intentionally doing those social connect questions as well. Yeah. Really good. And we try and model that in the first few minutes of this call. That's deliberately why we start the call at 5 past. I've got somebody on one of the groups, not necessarily in Bible Society, that comes at like 5 minutes past because they don't like that 5 minutes of chat. But I always hope by the time we get to the 5 gears that they understand why we do that. And that's to give us that run in, that sense of psychological safety and connection, so we can actually do some real genuine deep work together. So good for you, Rachel, for prioritizing that. Noelle, let's go to you.
I said that I feel like I'm generally quite balanced in most of the gears, except for number two, which is the sort of having deeper connections one. I was saying that recently, a couple of colleagues have said to me, "Oh, we should have lunch so that we can sort of, catch up and get to know each other and that sort of thing." And I've just been busy and I haven't actually scheduled them. And so I think for me, that part of things feels like, well, it is work and it's not bad work, but I guess it doesn't feel like a priority a lot of the time, even though those relationships are really important because they're the people that you work with. And these aren't people that are on my immediate team, but it's, I guess I'm just realizing that I need to prioritize that a bit more. So yeah, that's me.
That's so good. And actually, just to say, just because somebody asks you for a lunch doesn't mean you have to say yes, or it doesn't mean it has to be a lunch. I've got bogged down partly in third and fourth too much the last couple of weeks because from time to time, coaches who are coming up, emerging coaches, want to chat to someone who's been a coach for a while. And I just had this like backlog since being ill of about 5 different people. And I'd offered them all an hour. I was getting frustrated. And somebody had booked in at 9:30, which is a really prime time slot for me to be either coaching someone or to be preparing, with my fifth gear hat. And I was starting to feel a bit resentful, even though I had offered it. I thought, why am I offering them in half an hour? So one of my work-ons was to say, actually, yes, I'm going to give them some time, but it doesn't need to be an hour. It can be a half an hour connect meeting. And if there's more to talk about, we could then schedule another session. But sometimes, that we can get through in that short time. So thinking quite intentionally, really, about how much of our time we're giving away, because every yes is a no to something else, or is a number of no's to other things as well. I'm going to hear from Katie, Kate, and Matt in the next round. So let's keep going with this because there are a few more things I'd like to share with you. Yes, on the 5 gears. So thinking about who are your priority people for second gear, I think is a really important question. So that connect mode, going deeper and bonding with someone, you can't do that with every person that wants to do that with you. You can't possibly go deeper with every single person. There might be some people at work who you need to, or there might be some people at home who you don't necessarily think of doing that with, but who need that time much more. So that's where the 5 circles of influence is our friend. So when you're thinking about second gear, think about this circle, family first. Okay. So what about the people in your immediate family? And there might be some non-immediate family as well. So for example, for me, in my family circle, the people I prioritize one-to-one time with would be James, my husband, my 2 children, Gilbert and Laurie, and then also my mum, my dad, and my elder sister, Jen. Those would be in my family circle, and they're people who I think, have I spoken to them lately? Have I had a deep chat with them? Have we had one-to-one? Now, sometimes when you're living with people or when you see perhaps your mum and dad together, you know, it might always be them together. But what about having a one-to-one? What about that second gear with one of them? You know, me and my dad love birds, so we quite often connect about chatting about birds or what birds he's seen in his garden, or we go for a night walk if I'm at home and listen to the owls and things in the wood. So, do you get one-to-one time with those family members? And likewise with your team. Now, your team could be your work team. It could also be your closest friends. Who are your team? Who's on Team Beth? Who's on Team Kate? And actually, those people you could probably put. Brenny Brown talks about your square squad, a 1 inch by 1 inch piece of paper. If you think about how tiny that piece of paper is, it's the names you can write on that piece of paper. So how many names are we talking about? Well, for some people, if you're an introvert, it might just be 3 names. It might be 5. It might be up to 12 at the absolute max. But most people would have about 7 or 8 names on that team of their best friends. These are the people who they will see and prioritize and be intentional with at least once a month for an hour's call. That's an example. Some people might be every other day, a couple of times a week, or once a fortnight, and so on. But it's just those people who you prioritize. And once you get clear on that, it is so liberating. As soon as I got clear on who my team members were, who my square squad is, I don't feel guilty saying no to anybody who might be in those outer layers, who wants to like meet me for, I've got one friend that every so often goes, oh, let's get together for a cocktail. And I go, oh, once a year, maybe I make it. But a lot of the time I say no. And it's because then that person isn't in my square squad. It sounds really harsh. It sounds really hard. They're a wonderful person. They have a square squad who has other people in it. But it just helps to prioritize who your people are, to make sure that you go deep with some people, that you go deep with some. That's really important for mental health. Close, accountable, two-way friendship is really important for mental health. So have a feel around. A number of years ago, some of my closest friends were people who really needed me, really. And think about you. Lots of you are very charitable, are very kind people. You give, but make sure. And sometimes in the short term, a friend might just need you, and they can't give anything for a while. That's okay. But you must have people where it's two-way and where you are actually giving and receiving, and it's equal. That's really important for that second gear. So that was a piece I wanted to make sure that we covered. Here's a quote from leadership coach Craig Groeschel. He may have come across on this podcast. I love this phrase. We're thinking now about recharge briefly. For recharge gear, focus on energy. Time is finite. Energy is a replenishable source. You can't create more time. You can create more energy. Something you might have remembered from the keynote we did at the ASG. So think about energy. How can you make sure that you are actually doing energy really quickly? Whistle stop tour, the 4 types of energy: physical, exercise, rest, stretching, nutrition, hydration; emotional energy as well. Are you spending quality time with people, or are you finding time to emotionally recharge in whatever way you do it? Mental or creative energy, stimulating input. Someone was saying to me recently, they love researching stuff. It doesn't matter if they don't make the holiday, they like researching a holiday. That's recharge for them. Processing or creating, or an unrelated intellectual distraction. One of my clients loves to go on Duolingo and learn Italian at the moment. That's something that recharges them. It's also a learning thing, but it's not a 5th gear. It's a recharge. It's a 1st gear, or there's some overlap between those two. Spiritual as well. So how do you best celebrate your spirituality? For some people, it's with others. And for some people, it's mainly on your own. For everyone, it's probably a bit of both, and it probably should be a bit of both. but what most tops up your energy in those areas. Claire, you had a really good example, I think, of a trade up you've done with recharge recently.
Yeah, so it's just that reminder. I'm pretty sure we've spoken about it in with both groups, but the recharge is intentional and not accidental. So exactly as Laura said, I have replaced my TikTok habit with Duolingo. So I'm doing Norwegian just to try and keep up with Paul because my partner's doing Norwegian, and I thought I think I can do that, having done Latin, French, German, Italian previously. But I'm also doing, which is related to going to the gym, little challenges. So at the moment, I'm doing a squat challenge. So it's literally 5 to 10 minutes every single day of just trying to get a deep squat because my legs and hips are so stiff and tight that it hinders me from being able to get the full benefit of doing a squat with weights. So I'm kind of practicing that with various aids to make me more supple. And that has a big impact on how I feel.
Love it, Claire. I know you're very fit, so I'm just going to move aside the mental image when you said aids of some sort of what do they call the shopper things that you have?
It's literally an angled board that you stand on because it's easier to squat when your heels are up than it is when they're flat on the floor.
Sounds wonderfully painful. I love it. Okay, so hopefully that gives you some food for thought. The other list that you may have remembered from the ASG is, oh my word, look how it's just flashing and showing off here. Is this. So if you haven't seen this list before, you might just want to take a screenshot. If you need some ideas for your first gear, what are some things, really simple, mainly completely cheap things you could do that help you to recharge on the go? And have a look. So lots of trading up you can do is, we used to host a drink party for our neighbours. We haven't done it for a while. And after a couple of hours, I was just a bit done with third gear. So I introduced the jigsaw puzzle. And the big jigsaw puzzle would be on the table. And I found I could just chat for hours if we were chatting while we did a puzzle. And actually, one of my neighbours used to really enjoy that. And it gave her a chance to share what she was going through. So that was a win-win. So there you go. There's some ideas for first gear as well. And I wanted to make sure that we did that. I didn't mean to go off the share there actually, because the thing we need to do now is to think about, we're not going to go into another breakout actually. We're going to chat this through together, but core process. Okay. So just take one of the gears. So everybody choose one of the gears today. In fact, we'll do a tiny breakout, Claire. We'll do 5 minutes. Okay. So choose one of the gears. And then core process, okay? So call it, own it, respond and execute. What specific pattern change are you going to make in that one gear? Or are you going to trade up that gear to make a difference to your life, to your well-being, and to your presence and productivity? Okay, so quick, short group. Off you go. See you in a minute. Katie, you're tired. Bless you, love. You need some recharge.
Oh, we've lost them again.
Have we?
They're not.
Let them come. Let's get chatting. They'll come when they come. Katie, tell us about you. Have you got a core process? Have you got an execution point?
I think the best one I can think of at the moment is probably for gear one. So in the summer, I have a good habit of doing some gear one in the morning when I first get up, just to get myself in the zone before I go straight into multitasking. But in the winter, I find that really hard because all of the things I like to do are outside.
Yes. Yeah.
So probably finding myself something else that I can maybe off that list that is more indoors.
Yeah, go for
I
it.
enjoy just as much, maybe. Or Rachel was saying, she doesn't even think about it. She makes herself go for a walk no matter what every morning.
That's awesome, Rachel. That's awesome. I mean, I put Martin Smith Joy, one of my favorite morning songs, on, and it's like a 7-minute song. And I've got a weight by my bed, and I do some sit-ups and I do some pull-ups on the bed. I do some of, these ones and squats, and I just while that song is on, 7 minutes, and I walk my son to the bus stop, and just getting moving. It's not a lot, but it's just it's just getting moving. And actually, it's amazing how much better you feel when you do even like a little tiny workout, 7 minutes, or even five sometimes. Yeah, good, Katie. I like it. Let's hear from Matt. Are you there? Hello.
No. There you go.
Hi.
Cooey. Yeah. I found it's a little bit hard to do a core process for this one, only because I already realised quite a while ago that I need to change some things for me, especially about being in more gear one, that recovery piece. So I've already made changes to my life, and I'm kind of just living those out to see what impact it makes. So a couple of examples I've done for myself is trying to get away from screens after work. So that's including my kids as well. So I've got a Kindle, so I read books where I can, reliably, maybe once a week. I want to do more. And same as kids, getting away from the screen. So I make sure I have more gear 2, gear 3 time with the kids. We're playing games about playing football. We're doing that sort of stuff rather than being on screens together playing games. I say recently, got a dog relatively recently because I wanted to have some time in the morning to wake up. And you said about your exercise stuff. I take the dog out for a walk, and I drag myself out for a dog walk sometimes because I don't feel like I want to, but when I'm actually walking, I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, same with what you said. So I made routine change in the morning. I do a lot of sit-ups and push-ups and stuff in the morning just to wake up and refresh the body. So yeah, I think for me at the moment, it's my core process, mostly kind of around living those processes, those changes out, and keep
really good. Really good. I love that. And we're going to hear from Kate now. But before we do, I just want you to put on your radar as well. And if I had time, Matt, this would be my follow-up question is X Challenge. Have you done that with your team as well? Have you asked them about where their gears are and perhaps what they'd like a bit more or a bit less of? Which gear as a team, what are the trends as a team? That could be another interesting lens through which to view it. Thanks, Kate.
For me, it was gear 1 that I felt like I needed to get better at. And I think the challenge for me, I think I love gear 1 the most when I've had like gear 5. So for me, it's about, I struggle to get into gear 1 because my mind is like really busy about other stuff all the time. So for me, the best way to feel recharged is if my mind has had some deep like focus time. And I was kind of struggling to figure out really like what I need to do about that. So I don't know. I think it's maybe just figuring out what those things look like. And I think, I've been married for a while now, so I should have figured this out. But I think what gear 1 looks like for me and what it looks like for my husband are actually really different.
Yes.
So I've just kind of defaulted to his gear 1, which is very much like watching movies and listening to music, and that just doesn't work for me. And so I think that's why I just feel tired because I just do what he does to relax and it's actually not recharging for me. So some of the things that do help will be like, we have a jigsaw puzzle out all the time as well, and that can be really good because you can sit and absorb yourself in it. Even if I'm doing the puzzle while he's watching TV, we're at least still together. But yeah, so it's probably just thinking a bit more, and similar to Katie, a lot of my actual recharging is outdoors. It's in the garden, it's going on walks. And so I think I feel the lack of it now because winter's dry. So yeah, my core process is probably just to figure out something more practical to execute around that, because I don't think I know myself really well in that space of what I need to lean into that more.
Yes, that's brilliant. Thank you for that. That's really great. And just a reminder as well, don't forget that you can find some tips on the platform as well. So yes, we're doing altitude and you're fitting that in. But if you have any time, do go to your voice order collection for your voice and do click on. So for example, with Kate in mind, I'm going to the connector and then look down at the list, and there is a little session on how should I recharge. So that might give, yeah,
There we go.
that
That's
might just,
then.
yeah, that could be a
Yeah.
core
I'm gonna read that.
process.
Yeah.
You're in. And the other one that's fun is that there are 16 interviews here on that first page. So you can find your voice type. So again, if we go to the connector voice, there we go. You click on it and it comes up with somebody interviewing someone with your voice order. And there's an hour there. That's a nice one to listen to. That could be fun in the evening, Kate, to listen to as one of your recharge in itself, but also it will give you tips on what someone with your voice makeup finds recharging as well. Or, he'll ask a whole bunch of questions and that one might well be covered.
Love it.
So there you go. Have some fun with that. Claire.
Yeah, just really quickly, I just wanted to add, if you've got a habit that you want to change and you're struggling, a really good thing to do is write a benefits list. So write the habit and write what are the benefits to you, yourself, other people, your circumstances, as many as you can. And then you can write what is the kind of a second column, what's the benefit of the benefit. And you can also do it for a drawback as well. So if there's something that you want to stop, you can do drawbacks list, and then second column, what's the drawback of the drawback?
Okay, great.
Hopefully that makes sense, very briefly explained.
Giving yourself some fuel. If you want any help with that, do reply to the email coming through to Claire, who this is one of her super skills, actually, and she's fully trained in all of that stuff. Okay, any questions before we go? Well done, everybody. You are amazing. We're between a third and half of the way through. And in 2 weeks' time, Gabriel is beaming in from Kenya. It's half term. If you know you can't make it because you've booked off annual leave for half term, please could you let Claire know ASAP as a reply to the email? We want to check numbers for that week. But otherwise, you are superstars. Have a brilliant rest of the week. And the spring is coming. Don't worry. The spring is on its way. The flowers are coming. The birds are singing. We'll soon be outside more and more. Okay.
See ya.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See you soon.